we are going to start our recording. Hello and welcome to our Friday happy hour for Kipaipai. And tonight our special guest is fellow Stevie Love, and she's going to do a presentation on some artists that she's worked with. I believe all of them are Kipaipai fellows except for one. And that's, I believe, Heather Lowe. And welcome, Heather. We love having you here.
Thank you.
Yay. And so give me a second here and I'm going to share the screen and then I'll so if everyone will mute themselves and we'll put it on speaker, that way you'll be able to see Stevie, even though her lips won't be moving the same as her sound. Her sound is good, but the internet connection is funky. So we are going to share the screen. And we are going to share this. Oops, not that. Okay, and then we want to play from the start. And okay. Are we good, Stevie?
That looks great. Yes, thank you.
Okay. Stevie Love, everybody.
Okay. Thanks. So the theme of this show is being metahuman, and you can hit the next slide, Andy, because I want to read this together with everyone. This is what I'm thinking of metahuman in the way I see it is it refers to all of us when we find ourselves outside of a normal state of awareness. This can occur when we are daydreaming or meditating or in the zone in physical activity or when immersed in a creative flow state. Our brain waves actually slow down to the alpha state, which is 9 to 12 cycles per second, slower than normal. We find ourselves outside of time. We become unaware of our surroundings, unaware of our ego, which is the best. We are focused on the here and now and open to intuition. So you remember when a work of art gave you that gut feeling where words were beside the point? The works I want to show you today are the result of being metahuman and can possibly take you to a metahuman state. Making art and experiencing art can take you to that place of complete freedom from ego. And I think that art in the world is essential because it transports us to that state of grace. Next. So we're going to be looking at 6 artists, including myself, and the first one is Karen Hochman Brown. Next. Karen creates magic in her work using her digital camera, her computer, and complex software, which she has researched and developed over many years of intense experimentation, using her intuition to guide her. She describes the works as personal meditations. And I don't know about you, but I can easily enter a meditative state when gazing upon these visual symphonies. Next. In the recent past, she created mandalas using her own photographs of flowers, but in the work we're looking at today, she has incorporated cloud photographs that she took while walking in nature, in fact, mostly in Hawaii. And that mandala has now become a 3-dimensional kaleidoscopic wonderland that we can feel ourselves enter. Each work embodies the unique energy of that subject. Next. As a child, Karen loved art and geometry. Her grandmother took her to museums and art classes, and years later, she couldn't wait to get her hands on the first Mac when it came out. She naturally gravitates toward a patterned and orderly world. Next. And last, we'll see this one. Playing in the digital realm fills her with joy and purpose. She enjoys the irony of using her computer not to succumb to frenzied demands for her time, but instead to create peaceful, focused artwork that leads her and her viewers away from their harried lives and into a place of beauty and calm. And this one just really, I just really sink into this, the beauty of this piece. So that's the last one we'll see from Karen. Next, we have Heather Lowe. And next, Heather makes artworks called Lenticulars. They're unusual, artworks that shift and change as you move back and forth in front of them. It took her years to learn the technique, even though she was already experienced in stereo photography. The image has to be sliced up using interlacing software and then applied to the lensing material, which is a sheet of plastic molded into many tiny prisms. She was photographing clouds and she became aware of the spiritual force of the sky and the clouds. And she made this one of a cloud merging into a white rose that she came upon during a walk in Griffith Park. So when these two images were interlaced, she saw the eye of some spirit or God, if you will, looking out at her. And it was a turning point for her. Now in these, because they're a picture made by a camera, she says it's hard to see that eye unless you're there in person. In fact, I want to say something about the camera eye. You know, when we're looking at these pieces, as the camera moves back and forth, what it does is it keystones the outline of the rectangle. And so, of course, if you were there in person, this wouldn't be happening because you have two eyes. The camera only has one. Next. Heather believes that art is a living thing, and those rare moments when the experience lifts you to another state is why she makes art. This one is an homage to the dancer, Isadora Duncan. Next. What she is after is a manifestation of beauty. Lenticulars are like magic, she says. The picture moves both laterally and in depth. It's like watching a field of grass in the wind. I love that description. So listen to this. Heather has been transported to a metahuman state when standing in front of artworks. As a college student visiting the De Young Museum, she literally fainted in front of a 19th century painting by Frederick Edwin Church. She says she was just overwhelmed with the sensation of beauty or love that day, and she'll never forget it. Next. These last few months, she has been reading the Odyssey, and she is very interested in the archaic period. She says before Europe got its hands on Greek mythology. This is Amphitrite. She was the goddess queen of the sea, wife of Poseidon, and the female personification of the sea, the loud moaning mother of fish, seals, and dolphins. Next. This next one is titled AI Helen because the contemporary face is actually an AI creation. It's not a real person. So we can play this one, Andy. Here we go. Let's see, try again. Here we go. Huh, well, the computer seems to have slowed down quite a bit. Maybe try clicking that arrow again and see if it'll play again. Play better. There it comes.
It's playing, yeah. Can you see it, Heather? Okay, it's playing, yeah.
It's playing now. It's very short. It's only a few seconds. So we've seen it, I believe. Now this last one is really complex. Next. Combining 3 different subjects, clouds, truck, and the goddess Circe. So the story about Circe is she changed Odysseus's men to swine, and Odysseus had to contrive with the help of Athena to get Circe to unlock her spell on his men. Let's see if we go back to that one. Here we go. So with these artworks, Heather sometimes makes associations, she says, Rauschenberg-like to our contemporary life. Thus, the back of this truck looked godly with outstretched arms, and the fire hydrants resembled the swine to her in the story. For Heather, being metahuman is being with the gods or the natural forces that give us signs if we pay attention. I really love this one because of the combination of contemporary and mythology. You know, something so pedestrian as the truck, and then Circe as the goddess. So that's the last one with Heather, for Heather. And our next artist is Michelle Schwengel-Regala. Next, Michelle is a fiber artist, and she is trained as a scientific illustrator. She was part of an NSF group to Antarctica. That's Michelle there on the left. And even with a year of preparations, she still felt like she was on a completely outrageous journey, as if to outer space or some other uncharted land. Here she is in the dive hut. She spent 7 weeks in Antarctica and made 33 dives in supercooled water. And I at first thought supercooled was a euphemism, but it turns out that it's a technical term. Supercooled liquids are in a meta state where they are below freezing, but still liquid. And this is the water that Michelle dives in. This is a picture of under the ice. That ice is 7 feet thick, and they drill a hole through it for the divers to enter. So she made drawings underwater, and she loves knitting and crocheting. So she did numerous artworks related to her time there. Here she is drawing a jelly with graphite pencil on Yupo. Next, she loves creating with fiber, and this QR code, which she made up, takes you to a blog which she and another diver created. These two women are among the 13 founders of the Antarctic Artists and Writers Collective. And next, while on a research vessel where the crew used the term wire time to indicate when they would be stopping to lower the sampling equipment along a long wire cable, she had an aha moment when she realized she could turn knitting into a more fixed sculptural form by using wire. So this is a replica of the dive hole, embellished, and she calls it a water column. It's 29 inches long, and it's knitted of anodized aluminum wire. Next.
We're going to have more women.
This is a picture of Michelle. There's Michelle wearing the lei, and this is a show in Hawaii. And this is another, more works made of the woven anodized wire. And that's a full-size dive hole that she crocheted there, and also with bubbles that are all around her when she's diving. Next. So on the continent, scouted routes are marked with colored fabric flags on bamboo poles. There are many colors, but the red ones, placed at regular intervals, are their means of wayfinding while driving out along sea ice to and from the dive sites. During whiteout conditions, they're absolutely essential in helping them locate a path to safety. This is what she calls her bamboo flag series, 33 suspended pieces, one for each of her dives. They may be installed as a dual map and marine field guide. The 15 flags with knitted red banners tell stories about wayfinding, and the 18 paper pennants depict sea life. And those are metal point drawings on waterproof field notebook paper. Next, and the last one we'll see of Michelle is a double portrait of her and this man. Michelle is really fascinated by the whole history of Antarctica, and around the turn of the century, a lot of explorers went to Antarctica from all over the world, and this man was from Ireland. And what Michelle did, you can see the picture, that's her in the other picture. She knitted this hat to replicate his hat to honor him and his history. And then, so she's in this double portrait, and the hat, which you see at the top of the picture, are in a shadow box, displayed in a hut there on the continent of Antarctica, in a historic hut. So that's all for Michelle. And now we have Marthe Aponte. Next. When Marthe was about 11 years old, or 9, she's not sure, she was young. She had a metaphysical experience which she often recalls. She was lying in the grass outside her grandfather's house in the French countryside, and she felt the earth moving under her, and she was one with the earth. Years later, she immortalized the experience in this painting, where she often convolutes females with the earth and the trees and nature. Next. As a child, she felt like an outsider and retreated into nature and found solace in her beloved poplar trees. Now we're going to move to the next slide. There we go. Trees are a subject very close to her heart, and she paints them, let's go back. And she paints them while in a meditative state, starting without a drawing and slowly building the surface of lines and dots, inspired also by her love of Aboriginal art, which you can see the influence of that here. Next. So some years ago, she discovered picoté, a 13th century technique of creating designs by punching tiny holes into heavy paper. The Zen-like space she enters when doing picoté suits her. She works without preliminary drawings, punching holes into the front and the back of the paper to create a subtle variety of textures. So when she punches from the back, the holes poke towards the front and make a three-dimensional shape. Next. Sensuality and sexuality are part of her language. She often focuses on the female body and its relationship to trees. She incorporates symmetry into the images. Arms and branches reaching up, roots reaching down. The human is in the middle, connecting heaven and earth. Next. Her work is meditative and exploratory, made up as she goes along. With no preliminary drawing, she will start working the right side and then reproduce it on the left side, but not exactly, preferring to break the symmetry slightly. And then the next slide is a detail of this one, so that you can see how three-dimensional they become just by poking holes in the paper. Next. This is an installation with larger than life-size figures. These are like 8 feet tall. She calls them the Fate Sisters. And then there's this complex Joshua tree made of cut paper. The pieces here are backlit to bring out the magic of the forms. The Fate Sister on the left holds a ball of thread, and the sister on the right cuts the thread, symbolizing human mortality. And the next slide will give us a close-up of that. The female body and trees for her are intertwined around themes of birth and death. The magic of symmetry is important to her. Her work is contemplative for her, and she wishes to bring contemplation to the viewer. She hopes the viewer is transported to another world. one in which time slows down, inviting meditation and introspection. That's our last one for Marthe. And our next artist is Kudra Clover. And the next slide is Kudra makes biomorphic abstract paintings on silk, and she makes interactive multimedia installations. She is inspired by the microscopic world and the molecular. The studio is her lab, and she says the silks are the petri dishes. Next. The beauty of the unseen world, its cells and creatures, inspires her, or as she says, quote, "It drives me into a blissful frenzy." Some of what she paints comes from images in the microscope, and some comes from what gestures those same images inspire in her when she paints them. So the result is a biomorphic mashup of a partially real and partially abstract world. Next. Her practice starts with seeing something beautiful like a clump of mycelium. She studies it, makes multiple drawings, becomes obsessed with it, changes its colors or even stretches and twists it in Photoshop. Then she uses a short throw projector and splashes it up large onto the wall so she can sit with it. Turn the lights off, ponder, let it absorb me, she says. Next. Her process is a meditation on living things, both real and imagined. If she tries to control the painting, it usually doesn't work out, but when she releases herself, long chunks of time go missing. She feels like she is a vehicle for some visual message, or else, quote, "I am hyper me," and connecting with something bigger than myself. Next. To create, she says you have to let go, or put another way, she says you have to jack in and beam up. I love that. The idea, she says the idea that we artists can create something that's never been seen before, pull it out of the ether and birth it into reality, that's the essence of being metahuman. Next and last year she created this installation titled Hysteria. It's a whole room just enveloped in red and pattern, referring to nature and the feminine. Then on the outside of the building, next, she projected video images of her artwork. So it was moving video as the people were walking up to the building. And then inside was also an interactive table where viewers could create their own images. That's the last one for Cudra. And then we come to me, and I'm just sharing this one piece that I've made since, probably most of you know that I lost 20 years of artwork in the Bobcat fire. And when I came back in the studio, I had a few of these cups and I started dripping paint and putting jewels and gems and, you know, wrapping them with fur. And it was so wonderful. It was so joyful having this beautiful paint and jewels to look at. So you can play this video, Andy, and see if your music is, if your sound is turned up, because I like the music I put with this video. I'll see if it'll work. I don't know. I guess it might not be working, but you get an idea what they look like. It was such a joyful time for me that I just kept making more and more and more. I ended up with 55 of these cups. So I call it my 55 girlfriends. And in fact, each one of these cups are named for a friend. So they remind me, of course, they're like vaginas, right? But they're also like mouths or eyes. And so I'm seeing women, hungry women, women all talking at once, all seeing women, sexy women, carnival women, embodied ritual women, and on, and you can make up your own concepts for these. So I call it 55 girlfriends, and each one is named after a friend. And after, I can't believe I have this many girlfriends that are close personal friends, and then I needed 30 or 40 more cups. I ran out of cups. I don't know if that's a function of the internet or what, but I have so many friends that I really am, I really am close with. It's not just like a Facebook friend. So here's a couple of details. There's this one and one more. And one last slide. So it's just a couple close-ups. So that's it. And then in closing, I would like to thank Karen, Heather, Michelle, Marthe, and Cudra for working with me, sending me images. We exchanged multiple emails about ideas and work processes, and it was quite a treat working with you. And I really appreciate working together. And through this process, I have come to see that we artists are keenly aware of how we operate in the world, and we are tuned in to our abnormal states of awareness and the mysteries of the creative state. Thank you so much, and I admire every one of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Stevie.
Thank you, Stevie.
Stevie, that was
That was
gorgeous.
wonderful.
Great.
Really great.
Thank you.
Really
I'm so glad you enjoyed
fantastic.
it.
Yeah.
No, and you're so well spoken and easy to listen to, describe everything. It was, as much as the artwork you presented, I was just in awe of your presentation. So thank you.
Oh, thank you so much.
Good job, Stevie.
Well, I'm gonna have the artwork.
I want to throw it out there. There's 52 comments in the chat. If anybody has any questions that you want to ask Stevie,
Oh, wow, okay.
time.
I just want to say, Stevie, that I could see a kinship in your work with your 55 girlfriends and those shapes
Yeah,
to like ocean critters, like sea anemones. You know, how
yes, they
sit there
do
in the
have that, don't they?
they truly do. But, and I see that as linking you with, say, Michelle's work in the ocean, and also
Yeah.
with Kudra's work with the mycelium in the organic forms. And I'm just wondering, is that something that was a kindred spirit that attracted you to selecting those artists to be in this curated show?
Oh, that could be. The reason I selected those artists is because I'm really excited about this whole idea of being metahuman. I mean, the way I see metahuman is in our own psyches, in our own physical spaces, in our own unconscious. But of course, also metahuman can be where a human is connected with technology. So, at least 3 of these artists use technology very much as a big part of their process. Here's Michelle as underwater, depending on technology. And Karen with her computer, and Heather with her, computer. So I do a lot of reading about other abnormal states of that humans can get to. I love reading about mental telepathy and all of that. I think it's all real. And so I'm just, at this point, I'm relating the artists and the artworks to being in those kind of otherworldly states, mental states.
How is she able to draw underwater?
Hey, Liz.
Hi.
That was, the
How do
one
you
she
do
did
that?
was, well, there's Michelle. You want to answer that,
Yeah,
Michelle?
Tell them.
You know how you draw on land most times using a graphite pencil, and in this case, I had a support of a plastic slate that was my structure, and then inside that slate, I slid these pieces of paper. And Stevie mentioned Yupo is the brand that I was using. it's a 100% synthetic paper. It's polypropylene, and it really feels like a thin sheet of plastic. And so that would receive the graphite and it wouldn't smudge off too much. And so that was the kind of drawing surface that I worked with. I mean, at the same time, I'm wearing 3 pairs of gloves and it's getting colder and colder and colder by the minute. So drawing was always the first thing I did for the first minutes of the dive. And then once my fingers were too cold to be able to draw very well, then I would switch to taking video, or then I would switch to taking photos. So I had to structure my time underwater before it was too extreme to function. But I also
that's so courageous of you to be under that, freezing water. Amazing.
The having a single portal to get in and out of this environment was okay. I used to go ice fishing, so I had a sense of what that might be like. I felt like the fish in this case. But I'd heard of Antarctic divers being tethered by a connector to the surface. And apparently that's the protocol for some other countries' diving programs like Australia, New Zealand, but not the United States. So I only learned that once I got down there and I was a little, whoa. But there's no current, and it's very much like just floating in space where you don't have wind or water currents pushing you around. It's really up to you to do the movements. And it was very, very calm. And it really felt like being what I imagine it's like to be in space in a zero gravity situation.
How long are you down there?
Thank you.
Oh, each dive was up to 44 minutes. I was in Antarctica for 7 weeks during their summer.
So you're an experienced diver. I mean,
I had been a diver since college, so I'd been certified for decades, but frankly, all my years in Hawaii, I wasn't diving until I started preparing for this expedition. So it was a whirlwind of getting these additional certifications beyond regular open water diving to be able to do this. That was crazy. But there's this secret among Antarctic diving that it's really not that bad. It's not that difficult. You're usually not on a boat. There's no seasickness. You don't have sharks and stuff like this. You might have leopard seals if you're on the peninsula, but for the most part, it's pretty chill. Sorry.
So it doesn't have the fear of like all of the sharks and eels and whales that other bodies of water have?
Not where I was. If you were on another part of the continent, there could be leopard seals and they're quite dangerous. But I knew that I didn't have to anticipate their presence. And so, yeah, I could just chill. There were some fish called dragonfish, and you don't stick your glove into the place where they have their eggs and they're brooding their eggs, because they could bite you. And if they bite very much like an eel. If they bite you, then you're in big trouble. Okay. But no, it was pretty relaxing and incredible and awe-inspiring for sure. But something else that came up in Stevie's narrative that I appreciated was relating the time period of Marthe's picote being 13th century. And I feel like metal point, it's something that's my main drawing medium nowadays. It's from Renaissance times. I feel like we're also transporting ourselves to connect with those peoples from centuries past to do the work that we're doing now in this present day. So I appreciate that a lot. And batik, of course. I mean, Kudra's work is so, it has such long traditions. So there were fun connections to be had. Thanks so much, Stevie.
Yeah, it was wonderful.
Yes, thank you.
Marthe, your work is amazing.
Well, thank you, Liz.
Amazing.
Thank you. So
beautiful.
Much. Thank you.
Does anybody else have any questions? No more questions?
Oh, Andy, can I get this, the chat? How do I copy the chat so I can have all those comments? And also people are recommending books to me and different things. So how do I get that?
Hit those 3 little dots on the
bottom
of the chat, and it'll say download, and then you can download the whole thing.
I don't see it.
I think
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
Or whatever. Yeah.
I have a
Save chat.
Yeah, save chat. Aria.
I missed the very beginning. Is this show hanging somewhere?
No, this was a.
Oh, I wish.
She came up with this conceptually, and that was kind of the challenge to all of our fellows is to.
I remember you giving the challenge.
Yeah, and this is our first one, and on this.
Okay, this is brilliant.
You did
I love it.
Yeah.
Huh.
Beautiful job. And this is exactly what we were talking about. Thinking about your work conceptually in the context of other artists. Like, what are the things that connect you? What are the things that that maybe even conceptually connect you that you don't see visually in the work, but that philosophically, while you're making the work, connect you to these other artists. And I love that she came up with this metahuman concept and the idea of, what state are we in when we are creative? Like, what are we thinking about? Where do we take ourselves? And I agree. I think these were excellent choices.
Stevie, spot on. I think you
Good.
nailed it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Great.
wonderful.
So when is Kudra gonna show her exotic environments? Is she gonna do it in at MOA, Andy?
Yeah, Kudra's show opens at MOA, I want to say June 5th. It's the first week in June. And then
You
it'll
said
be,
the 9th last time.
is it the 9th?
I
Okay.
think so.
All right. It's
Wait.
in the first week of June. I don't know the exact date. Off
It's in June.
June. Super excited. She will be the first artist that we've ever had to take over the entire museum.
Wow.
Oh my
Wow.
God, Kudra. Oh,
No pressure though.
no pressure.
Amazing.
So you'll see her silk paintings will be in one entire, it will probably be in the main gallery. She's recreating a new Hysteria room
That'd be
that will
amazing.
be upstairs in the smaller gallery that's very interactive and people will be able to participate in, similar to the one that you saw here in the presentation. And then the South Gallery, which is the large gallery on the second floor, is also going to be interactive and it's a new thing. Do you want to talk about it or do you want to keep it secret?
See, actually, we're working on it tonight. I don't know. Should it be a secret?
I want to know.
It involves naked women and trampolines. That's all I can say.
What?
Whoa. It's wild.
Hysterical woman.
I went to do a studio visit with
Okay.
last March and I just flew over quickly to Maui for a couple hours and she showed me the mock-up and also they had just started working out how the viewer is going to be able to control what happens in the room.
Wow.
It's wild. Yeah, it's super wild.
So it's an AR experience?
No, it's not. You're actually going to see the projections that you're going to be able to move around as the viewer with like a toggle. Yeah.
Can we get naked?
I encourage.
You can't get naked. No getting naked.
Good.
Yeah, the
Also, by
city
the way,
wouldn't.
here's my lovely assistant who is making this all possible.
Hi, Ben.
Hi, everybody.
Yeah, we're staying up late tonight working on some stuff. It's gonna be what do we have? 4 months now?
4 months and counting.
4 months.
We have to have
Get on it, girl. Get on it.
That's exciting. That's exciting.
So I think that if we don't have any more
Yeah.
questions, I just want to say, any questions? Last chance? Okay. Stevie, congratulations. Great job. You set a really good
Well done, Stevie.
precedent for
Yeah.
everybody else to follow.
Thank you.
Oh,
Just
Stevie.
an example of
Good.
exactly what we were looking for. You did an excellent job. And I think
Awesome.
I love that you included Heather also in this, a non Kipaipai fellow.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm really honored, honestly. Stevie and I had a great conversation about it.
Thank you, Heather.
I love your work, Heather. We need to talk.
Oh, thank you.
So
Yeah, we did.
yeah,
We did.
yeah.
Love to.
And let's see what's coming up. As you all know, every Wednesday morning from 9 to 10 o'clock, I have open office hours, so you can just log in. That link is in the Fellows group on Facebook. It's also posted in the I Am an Artist events. And I know several of you take advantage of that time. Even we've had some Hawaii artists log in. I know it's early for them, but they've even shown up. So all you LA people have no excuse. And it's been really wonderful those Wednesday mornings. The the conversations have been very vibrant and lively, and we've actually done some good problem solving together. So it's not just me talking. The whole group, if someone has a question, we're all kind of think tanking it together. And it's been really, really enjoyable. I have to say, I look forward to it every Wednesday morning. So if you find yourself in need of some advice, or you just want to chat with other artists, log on Wednesday morning from 9 to 10. And we have a good time. Sometimes we just chit chat about other stuff too, but it's mostly about art and our careers and studio practices and just, figuring out what are other people doing with their practice. And it's been a really good time. Also, we'll continue on next Friday. I believe we have Catherine, help me out.
Liz and Betty.
Liz and Betty,
Liz
yay.
Gordon and Betty Brown.
But mostly Liz. I just worked on the PowerPoint with her. It's mostly Liz.
Yeah, it's a show called Skin Deep, Then and Now. It's currently at the loft at Liz's, and I will be in the space, but we'll be doing a PowerPoint.
Wow.
Awesome.
Great.
And then I'm going to be, if you didn't hear earlier, I'm working with Marthe and Carrie Smith, who's also logged in here. Hi, Carrie.
Hi.
We're working on a show that will be opening in May at the Gray Space in Santa Barbara. And hopefully by then we'll all be able to have vaccinations and we'll be able to in person. And maybe it'll be that first moment that we all get back together again in California. So cross your fingers. But that's happening. And let's see what else is happening. Oh, by the way, if you haven't seen my multiple posts about this, our LACMA partnership is finally announced officially on Thursday. And we got a write-up today in Art News, and
wow,
just the beginning,
fantastic.
But this show is really fantastic. I'm kind of sad because I feel like we might not be able to open to the public, but we will have a virtual tour and we will have all kinds of engagement with artist panels, artist talks, some workshops, all kinds of wonderful engagement that everyone's invited to. And we are just thrilled because it's such a great show. And it's been a really, really crazy 2-year ride on this, trying to put this together. And it's finally here. Yay. But anyway.
What's the show?
The initiative is called Local Access. We are one of 4 partners with LACMA, and the exhibitions there will be 3 exhibitions over the next 5 years. The first one is called Golden Hour, and we curated it from the permanent collection from LACMA's photography collection. And it's a look at California through kind of some non-traditional visuals through the lens of artists that have documented. And it's not per se a documentation of California, but it's an artist's interpretation of California through identity, through commerce, all kinds of crazy good stuff. We have video, there's some, I think there's some AR, lots of photographs. It's a really fantastic show. And
It's up till when?
May 9th.
Oh.
So it opens February 7th, and then it closes May 9th. And we will be opening with a virtual tour and crossing our fingers that we will open eventually to the public with like timed entry and appointment only. So I know I'm hoping that's going to happen. But yeah, it's a great show. We're super excited about it. And then also at Cedar, Zara Monet Feeney is also opening. She's a fantastic painter. If you guys don't know her work, you should check her out. You can check the moacedar.org website and check out her work. Really, really fantastic painter. And let's see what else is happening. We just installed 3 public art sculptures at the Prime Desert Woodland. We'll be doing, I think, a virtual tour of the Elise Clifford Interpretive Center, which is our natural history interpretive center, which is part of Prime Desert Woodland. You'll see that shortly. We just filmed that, and that'll be released soon. And let's see what else is happening. Trying to think of all the stuff. There's crazy.
It's a lot.
It's
a lot already.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's a lot.
So, I know. This end of the month, the 29th, 30th, and 31st is our next Kipaipai workshop. By the way, there are 2 openings left. We had 2 people drop out at the last minute. If you're interested in participating, email me. We're giving a discount, I think, to fill those 2 slots. And then we're also right now, we are taking applications for the April workshop. That's live right now as well. So if you can't do the one at the end of the month here in January, the April, we're taking applications right now for April. So that's kind of it on the Kipaipai front. Great to see all of your faces. Again, Stevie, great job. Congratulations to all the artists.
Yeah, good job, Stevie.
Thank you.
Terrific.
Thank you.
Terrific.
And we will see you all either Wednesday in my office hours or next Friday at our next happy hour. Thank you all for coming tonight.
Thank you so
Thank
much. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Good night.
Dream.
Thank you. Thank
Bye.
you, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.